Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know my daughter's phone numbers now.
Well, my daughter has the weird 986 area code.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, can I not get to 208? They're like, no.
Not anymore.
I'm like, I'll pay for it.
It is Go Vandals, capital G, capital V, exclamation point. You know, something like that.
I try not to be connected to these things. It just distracts.
I'm trying to figure out why my dishwasher has been texting.
I can tell you, I just had.
They are making everything that way these days.
Apparently so.
We had a new garage door opener installed and he's like, hey, you can
Okay.
We just confirm
put
that.
QR code here and
So that will be
download the
available
app, and
then.
if you're coming
Yeah.
home, you can.
Okay.
How's Jeff
I'm going,
doing?
well, if I'm driving, I probably shouldn't have my app in my hand going, open the garage.
No complaints?
No big complaint.
Oh, no, big one. Well, that's good.
Old fashioned garage door opener.
Yep, the button I
Yeah.
push.
Mark, from Tom's email, I understood that that's gonna be a continued conflict for him.
Yes, for probably a couple of months.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, like somebody was saying, well, I can preheat
When the
my oven.
legislators in,
On the way home, I can
we
preheat.
spend a
my
lot of
oven.
time
It's
trying
absent
to
minded
defend
whether
ourselves
there
against
would be something
foolishness.
oven
Mm.
and the place would be on
How's that
fire.
work?
I was gonna say, if you figure out how to do that, let me know.
Bad about,
We were
50-50.
preheating,
Yeah.
this was several months ago and,
it's not about the ones you want,
we
it's
were
about
on
the
the
ones
hustle,
you don't
like, we
want.
just set things off the counter.
County roads
And-
always a target.
We
Yeah.
were preheating the oven, it's, you know, smells like.
There's a new one in, Senator Marcus has proposed.
Yep.
And he wants us to track every
It was
cubic yard of dirt that we move
and,
in
yeah,
or out
it
of
was
the
not
right of
good.
way.
Speaking of which, I have a question for you.
Is there anybody that we
You're the
know
iron guy.
not to anticipate other
One
than
of his
Commissioner Haney?
constituents is a retired attorney and the county he lives in. screwed
Haley
him
was
by
gonna
doing
maybe
some
zoom in
dirt.
late.
So,
Nathan
and it
can't
was
make
just-
it.
It's
Yep.
trash.
Yep.
It's like coated in
So now we're gonna
whatever.
So
part
When I'm.
we should have Kara and or
dollars worth of
Sean for
effort for
Coleman.
zero
Yes.
gain.
Right.
Steam.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the
It's like,
bread. Well, the first couple of times I.
you know,
scrubbed the
Thurston
heck out
County
of
should have
it.
stepped
And the
up
first
to the
couple of
plate and
times
fixed the
I
problem, but they
still
didn't.
smell.
Yeah.
So this guy got bent, and
So
went straight to his
inside,
good buddy
It's
Marcus.
not seasoned or whatever.
Now we're gonna
It's
all
just got-
pay
If it's got
yeah.
crud on it.
It's got crud on it.
tens of
You're gonna
thousands of
smell
dollars a
whatever
year
is
on a new system to track a
baking
yard of
off
dirt
on
that
that.
makes
So
no
if-
difference in the world
Let's
in a
say it
week.
was all like baking grease. Anything above 310 degrees, it's gonna smoke and gonna smell.
He was pretty good at
Whatever.
legislation for,
It'll smell awful.
It's just nasty.
take a minute
So,
issue, make a broad
if you really
sweeping
want it-
rule
Yep.
about
Yeah,
whatever.
That's-
and then
I'm on
With
the,
no funding to go with.
I'm
broad
on the-
sweeping rules.
Zero funding.
Yeah.
if you think it stays, I'm on the local government advisory committee for the EPA. And so we have, you know,
Sure.
review responsibilities for stuff that they have coming out, and we're supposed to give the local government perspective, and every time it's like, look, like, I understand the reason for this here, like in this very narrow interpretation thing, but like the unfortunate thing is the EPA only has a machete. There are no scalpels in the organization. It's just like, look, I understand and I agree with what you're trying to do here, but like when you apply that like this,
The unintended
it doesn't work. And it always, there's never funding. Like, you know, it was just like, you know, like the PFAS stuff where they were talking about, when they initially started talking about wastewater, they were talking about PFAS with water and, you know, panicking about water. I said, you guys, like, wastewater is the expensive thing. Water can filter your filters. That's still very expensive, but like wastewater, trying to get out, when you've got every treatment facility in the entire country installing burners, installing dehydration equipment, all of the landfill, if it was going to landfill, if it was being land applied, now it's gotta be landfill, like, this is incredibly expensive. And they were talking about, you know, they said, well, you know, we put it aside, we've got X amount of billions of dollars earmarked for this, and it'll be a good start. And then the state of Minnesota came out with their own study on just what it would cost in the state of Minnesota
You wanna build.
just for wastewater, and it was like
So you don't.
8 times more than what they had in the budget for the entire country.
Yeah.
And that was just the state of Minnesota.
Those are like small rural systems too,
Yeah.
like 30 billion. Which was probably not conservative enough, right? Like
Probably not.
looking at like
Yeah.
a 20-year implementation schedule, it's probably like 500 billion.
Sounds good on paper, but in practice, it gets lost.
These kind of
Does
things.
she-
They use a mix of nickel, zinc, cast.
Okay. So you know what?
So it's typically-
Pronunciation
Yeah.
purpose.
Yeah.
And it's really,
Steve's on.
it's a little rusted.
I got two of them.
Yeah.
It looks that way.
It looks that way.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Well,
All right, we're at 2 o'clock. We're gonna go ahead and get rolling in the interest of time, punctuality, and getting through a very efficient meeting. Thanks everyone for coming to the January first meeting of 2025 for the Police-Based Aquifer Committee. I'm Tyler Palmer. I am a City of Moscow representative on the committee, and also the current chair for the Police-Based Aquifer Committee. And I am going to start today with introductions. I'm going to kick off introductions today by introducing Kyle Still to my right. Kyle is the newly appointed alternate representative for the City of Moscow. So he's stepping in the seat that Mike Parker has vacated. Kyle is the environmental services manager for the city. And so excited to have him come in at this juncture, especially he has pretty vast environmental experience, both with the Department of Environmental Quality for the state of Idaho, worked with the city for a long time. And so I think his insight will be helpful as we get into this alternate supply stuff. Kyle?
Yeah, I look forward to working with everybody. As Tyler always mentions, water is a very, very, very essential resource. And so I'm excited about the work that you all have done and continue to do. So, yeah.
Great. We'll continue with Mr. Vineyard.
Rusty Vineyard, Director of Facilities, University of Idaho.
Eileen McCall, Pullman, Washington, water activist.
Mark Story, Whitman County Public Works Director.
Jeff Lanigan,
Pain in the
who
ass.
am I? WCU Facilities and Vice Chair of PBAC.
Spin the dial.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Erin Masadi. I'm the new Water Conservation Project Coordinator with PCEI and Merit Board.
Great. Welcome.
And I'm Mike Popel with PBAC.
All right, let's jump back here.
I'm Vicky with Alta Science Engineering.
Vicky, welcome. All right, we're gonna jump online and start with Mr. Wells.
Good afternoon, Sean Wells, Public Works Director, City of Pullman.
Hi, Sean. Dan? Dan Sturgis? Can you
There
hear
we
us?
go. I got it unmuted. Good afternoon, everyone. Good to see everybody. I'm Dan Sturgis. I'm with Idaho Department of Water Resources.
Great. Welcome, Dan. Thanks for being here. Nicole?
Good afternoon, everybody. I am Nicole, formerly Fletcher, but now Nicole Morton. And I am with Jacobs.
Great.
Congratulations, Nicole.
Thank you.
Kara?
Kara Haley, City of Pullman, City Engineer.
Great. Welcome, Kara. Patrick?
Yep, Patrick Cabbage, Washington State Department of Ecology, Water Resources Program.
Welcome, Patrick. Lana?
Yeah, hello, this is Brad Phelps. I'm with Jacobs Engineering, same as Nicole.
Great. Brad, welcome. All right, Lana.
University of Idaho, Water Resources Researcher.
Great. Welcome. Did I miss anybody online?
I don't think so.
Chris Bear, Department of Ecology.
Oh, Chris, we did miss you. Thank you.
No problem.
And Meg Wolf is here. I'm with the Idaho Water Resources Research Institute.
Great. Meg, good to see you.
Good to see you.
All right. Anyone else I missed? Okay. Well, appreciate everybody, everybody's attendance, as we're at a really exciting and crucial point as we're moving toward an alternate water supply and continuing our work on conservation. We're going to kick the meeting off with, also I've got one recognition that we'll probably see her come on. I see Commissioner Lamar has joined us. Welcome, Tom. Haley Lewis, the Moscow City Council, has had their new assignments for the year. And so Councilor Haley Lewis will be the PBAC representative. So she'll be the other voting seat on the committee for the City of Moscow. And so Haley had an appointment that she had a conflict. She's hoping to join us online as soon as she gets out of that. And so when we'll do a more extensive introduction when she's able to attend in person, but she's very excited to participate on Police-Based Aquifer Committee. It was a sought after post and that a lot of council folks wanted to be on. I think it's encouraging. Both Pullman and Moscow have had that experience where it's a post that people want to participate in. So that's great. The next item on our agenda is the approval of our November meeting minutes, as we did not have a December meeting.
Tyler, just backing up 1 second. This is Sean, City of Pullman. Just FYI, on Tuesday, the council reappointed Nathan Weller to the committee.
Oh, great. Thanks, Sean. Appreciate
You bet.
that. And we had communication from Councilor Weller earlier today that he wasn't going to be able to make it today, but he's been, very much participating, and he's also helping with our review committee for the alternate supply. So, all right, on to the November meeting minutes. I'd love to entertain a motion unless anybody has any edits.
I didn't get through. That's good to say so. And I wasn't here, so I'm not gonna make a motion.
I have copies if anybody needs them.
I move to approve the minutes.
I have a motion from Rusty to approve the minutes.
I second it.
I got a second from Jeff. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the minutes stand approved.
Mike, can I get another agenda?
There you go.
I stole it. Well, I gave it to him, but I thought I had 2 agendas, but I didn't.
I have it for copies.
Thank you.
Next item on our agenda, we'll open it up for public comments for any items that aren't on today's agenda. Any public comments? Okay. We don't have any unfinished new business presentations or discussions, and so that's gonna get us on to our subcommittee reports. And that is where we've got the bulk of today's agenda and the things to discuss. Clearwater River, request for qualifications. We had, the evaluation subcommittee met on January 9th to conduct a preliminary review of those submittals. We had 2 submittals for that project. One was from HDR and the other was from Jacobs, both with an array of subcontractors to support them in that effort. I think I speak for everyone in that the submittals were encouraging. I think that both of the submittals really understood the scope of what we're looking for and the outcomes that we're going for. And they're both firms that have a lot of relevant work and good reputations in the field. And so that is exciting. We'll be reaching out tomorrow with some communication about setting up some presentations from both of the entities. And so we'll have the opportunity to have presentations, ask some questions, and then with the hope being that that will be the last meeting of that subcommittee as they then make a recommendation for a firm that we'll contract with. So that is moving forward, really exciting times. Just as a reminder, the city of Moscow is the recipient of the grant funding from the Idaho Division of Water Resources on that project. So the process from here will be, we've reached back out. We haven't gotten, we've reviewed the contract with the Idaho Division of Water Resources. We're waiting for the final version from them. So we heard from their staff this last week. They were going to check back in. They hope to have it to us within a week or so. And so that should time out pretty well as we get somebody selected. We still have, we'll have the selection process and then we'll have the scoping process where we'll work with them to generate a scope and some costs. And from there, the next real relevant thing that'll come back to the committee is going to be a discussion about costs, because we have $182,500 that we have coming in from the Idaho Division of Water Resources, which was awesome and generous. And we're excited to have that work continue to be supported by the state. But we do anticipate that what we don't want to do is have that amount of money dictate the scope. We want to have the work that we need to get done. And we do have some money earmarked and identified within our research dollars for PBAC that we want to have available so that we can supplement that amount to get the questions answered that we need to have answered and move this forward. Does anyone have any comments or questions about that process? Okay, hearing. Yeah, and we can see who's on.
So view.
Thank you for that. Suggestion.
There we go.
We're gonna put them in the Coliseum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never got to see.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Okay.
Do that Monday morning.
Yeah, great then. We'll continue with that process. That subcommittee will continue its work and then we should be back with news on the process and with some determinations or recommendations from that committee at our next meeting. So that is scooting right along.
Looks like there's a few comments in the chat.
We'll open up the chat, Mike. Oh, we're good. It was-
IT stuff.
Yep.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay, so that will, yeah, we'll be working on, there'll be some things that as a committee we'll have to vote on, obviously, when we get the scope defined. It won't be as a super immediate need in that we'll be able to seek reimbursement from the state and that'll get us going with that 182,500. And so we'll have time to work through the mechanisms for payment to the city and or reimbursement. We have a few different mechanisms that we can use. I have money in the water budget for the city of Moscow that I can make initial payments with that then the state will reimburse to the city. So it will provide a little bit of a buffer as we then work through those mechanisms. So, but it's not the first project that we've managed this way. And Mike and Rusty have been very helpful as we've navigated those university processes. So we'll keep that moving along. All right, unless there's any questions about that, I'll continue on with the agenda. Thanks to everybody who participated on that committee, several in this room. Ken Clark from the tribe was kind enough to join us on that. Jeff, Mike, Nathan Weller, Kara Haley. We had a good group. Kevin Gardis was great to see Kevin again. Many of you will remember Kevin, who was the previous public works director for the city of Pullman, and his perspective was invaluable. Just with the amount of time that he spent on this, he has a really good background and perspective. I think that Mark's the only one that had more longevity, other than Paul, obviously, but Paul doesn't count anymore. I think Paul's just a fixture. He's just always going to be here.
Pretty much. I think that's me too.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kevin Gardis came from the consulting world and water resources as well. So he has a rich background before he even came to the city of Pullman.
Yeah, he worked for JV Engineers.
Yep.
Back, yeah, Kev's, it was great to see him. He was suffering in Hawaii, I'll have you all know, suffering.
Yeah, my heart bleeds.
All right, we'll move on to budget.
So just to, Sean, I know you had some questions. I'll answer those here in just a second, but just a general budget update. I've asked Mike to send that out, and it's really just a pretty basic sheet that gives the revenues, expenses, and where we're tracking beginning and ending balances. If you have questions about more detail, glad to work with Mike to provide that as needed. We've been fairly flat. I mean, really, our only expenses that we've really put out over the last several months have been Mike's salary and Alta payments. And we've had some nominal expenses around scheduled meetings, if it was for the RFQs and so forth and so on. So again, pretty straightforward. Sean, you asked about like things when you see on there like period ending 7, it's just based on 26 pay periods, and this is the 7th pay period in that cycle, and it resets at the beginning of the calendar year from that standpoint. Our fiscal year does run from July 1 to June 30, but they do the pay periods on a calendar year pay schedule. You also asked like the encumbrances for admin labor. That's Mike's salary that's encumbered. They hold that. They pull that at the beginning of the year, and then we pay against it as the year goes on, goes along. But again, right now, pretty straightforward. Everything that we've done has largely been accounted for. If it was the payout to Dr. Langman and his study, the payments to the city of Moscow or the Chamber of Commerce, I shouldn't say City of Moscow, Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber, yeah. For the AmeriCorps space. And really, if there are no other, I can open it up for questions at this time, if there are any additional questions.
Does anyone have questions for Rusty on the budget?
Thank you for answering the ones I pre-planted with the committee.
No problem. I'm trying to, that's with Mike's, okay, is we're sending that out so people can put eyes on it. And if anything, when you're reading it going like, hey, this doesn't make sense, please ask questions, glad to answer them as we go along and trying to work through this again, his budget's pretty straightforward, cash in, cash out, at really not large chunks at a time. I mean, right now, we're tracking a little ahead of our expenses versus the revenue, but that's to be expected because we voted on a couple of big initiatives that hit against that balance.
Perfect.
At the end of the day, every nickel is public, anyway, because it's UI accounts.
Yeah, and I do encourage everyone, as Sean did, to take a look, and if you have questions, ask questions. That's what we send it out for, and it's a help. I mean, there's been many a time when it's like, oh, wow, that was a good catch and something we need to catch. So I really appreciate everyone keeping an eye on that.
Or just point clarification, is that a monthly review?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
I don't
Yeah,
have
you
any
said-
questions.
Okay,
Thanks.
great, thank you. Okay, then we'll move on to the communications subcommittee. We have a meeting scheduled for January 21st. We've got a lot of work coming up on the communications subcommittee. Obviously, we have a lot of messaging to get out there as we hit this really critical juncture and we're starting the significant work. One of the things that we all know and we've hammered into our own heads and everyone around us is that we've got to have our communication with the community keep up with our technical work. And so as we launch a significant and visible chunk of technical work, we're really committed to making sure that our community outreach keeps pace and that we keep our communication up to speed and up to snuff. And so we'll really rely on each representative from each entity. One, first and foremost, to advocate for your entity and know you all know your own governing bodies better than any of us do, and what the best ways are for us to communicate with them and what the desired frequency of communication is going to be. So please let us know if there's something, if you're feeling like your board of directors, your commissioners, your council are due for an update of whatever scope and size and at whatever venue, say it, bring it up. I would way rather over communicate at this point. So even if it's, hey, show up, there's this meeting, I need you there for 5 minutes to give a quick brief, we can do that. You know, I'd way rather be doing that.
Just to dovetail off that, we are having a county commissioner retire next week.
That's right.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Michael Largent, who has been at the county for 18 years now, and will be getting a new commissioner probably within a month or so of that.
Have they announced the candidates for appointment yet?
There's 9 candidates on the list. Today
Okay.
is the deadline to sign up.
Okay.
So at some point after the new commissioner takes office, it might be worth our time for Michael to come over
Do an update.
and just get them up to speed, because they're not going to know very much about PBAC.
Okay. Perfect.
We'd love to do that,
Yeah, let's get that on the schedule.
especially if I get a donut at rush hours.
Mike swears by the Colfax donuts.
I do.
Yeah.
They're pretty darn good.
They are the
And
best.
I'll be happy to
They
come
are
too
the
if it
best.
fits within my schedule.
I don't like it when they bring them, because then I just eat them.
That's the problem with donuts is you just eat them. Okay, so yeah, please,
I know where Colfax is, so.
please do let us know just like that. And, you know, shoot me and Mike an email. And let us know what that looks like for your respective organizations. Some specific things that we will be doing is, we've got the stakeholder engagement group. We'll be scheduling our follow-up, our next touch with them. At our last meeting, we'd indicated that we were putting out this RFQ and told them that the next touch would be when we have decided on a consultant for that, and so that we can introduce them to the consultant. And so so our next touch will be a introduction to the consultant and kind of a broader look at the specifics of that project and what's going to happen there, and have an opportunity for feedback. And in the same manner with the research colloquium, we're going to reconvene that body at that same juncture so that we can talk to them and have a more technical conversation about what is in our proposal, and allow our research community the opportunity to help us identify any gaps especially as we're getting into scoping and making sure that we answer the questions that we want to answer. And so those are 2 upcoming meetings that we are working on getting scheduled. We'll finalize that at our January 21st communication meeting. Hopefully. I mean, a lot of it's going to just kind of be predicated on us getting the consultant on board. And so we just want to make sure we've got a good idea of where that's going to sit.
Yeah.
I have 2 PM on my calendar for that. That's
4.
It's 4. That's
Mhm.
4 days.
So those are two exciting efforts. And then also we had indicated to the executive council for the tribe that we would touch base again at that juncture, that we'll reach back out and see if they would like us to come back down and give a formal presentation and also introduce them to the consultants. We bring them on board. In our discussions with Ken, he seemed to think that that was likely, that they would want another touch point there. And so we'll work to schedule that with the executive council as well and get down and have that conversation. So this is the time to keep an eye out. We've got that stakeholder list that we've generated, that we try to update periodically, and it's been fairly routinely updated. If you don't have a copy of that, reach out to Mike and get a copy of that and take a look at that for each of your respective entities and just make sure that we're talking to the folks we need to talk to. Now's the time for us to really reach out. Any questions about any of that? Okay. All right, yeah, please do reach out to Mike and make a request. It's really helpful. It doesn't matter if it's the Lions Club all the way up through the council, we'll come to any of them. All right, technical. Jeff, anything?
Not me,
I'm sorry?
did not me.
Yeah, we did not meet today. We were kind of between efforts, so
Yeah,
we didn't have a whole lot to talk about, so we canceled the meeting. We probably have to get together in the next month or so just to make sure we're all on the same page, and how to engage in these other efforts. I think Dr. Langman should be getting himself organized for his effort. And so, yeah, I don't really have an update there.
Maybe we can update with him on his progress.
Yeah.
Cause I haven't heard from him in a bit.
Yeah.
Great.
All right, I have a quick update on Dr. Langman. He's currently in the recruiting process for a grad student. So it'll probably be fall that person will start.
Thanks, Lana.
Thank you.
Great. Any questions for Jeff or comments about the technical subcommittee? All right. Other reports, Mike, want to start with our introduction?
So Erin has been named, she's our new water conservation coordinator through AmeriCorps and PCEI. This is her second week. She has been doing a lot of the AmeriCorps onboarding and the normal IT stuff, waiting for your password and then waiting for some other password, and he's gonna schedule time and sit down and do some handoffs tomorrow, hopefully. But we're doing some planning. Her first presentation is already scheduled at the Fusco Co-op for the first week of February.
Awesome. Erin, you want to take a minute? Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you were interested in this one?
Yeah, so I lived in the Blues for about 10 years. I came to University of Idaho for college. I was born and raised in Southern California, and really loved Moscow, really loved the community, really enjoyed the landscape, and most of my education is actually in anthropology. I'm a cultural anthropologist by training. About my master's degree studying rural food insecurity. So it seemed like a linear jump when I was really starting to get invested into the conservation sciences to kind of apply my skill set within ethnography and adapt that to just a different topic. But it's been really difficult to kind of inch into a sphere that you don't have a lot of formal education in. I'm not, a trained environmental scientist. So it was a really good opportunity, and I was working well with Courtney, and she suggested that I give it a shot and apply. And yeah, I'm super excited. It's been really good so far, even though I've had a little bit of technology issues. I'm just working on the back end to make sure that I can really fill the shoes of my predecessor, who put a lot of effort into, making this easy for me. So really excited.
Great.
Cool.
Well, we're happy to have you. Welcome.
we are.
Welcome. If you have any questions, we're happy to help. We got a big support network. Mike should be able to fill 99.99% of them, but we can get resources if there's anything that you're not sure
Email
about.
this more, don't call me.
I've done like a student email and then this email, and then I was a former
She has
employee.
3 UI email accounts now.
And none of them work exactly.
None of them
Yeah.
Oh,
Jeez.
That's all good. We're working on it.
Well, welcome. We're happy to have you.
Thank you.
I've just got a couple announcements in addition. We've we've just launched our utility rate study for the city of Moscow for both our water, sewer and storm. So we'll be diving into that and all the fun associated with the utility rate study. So we are taking a look at some of our tiered rate systems to see if there are things that we can do to help enhance conservation through that process. And we'll have more updates as we work more into that process. And then also with our updates to our water conservation plan, we're finalizing some proposals and recommendations that will be taken to our city council this spring for updates to our water conservation plan. So it's also been a long and interesting process, but like, I think we've got some meaningful stuff that we're gonna try and do in there. And that's it for me. Does anyone have any other reports or announcements?
If I may, I just would add that we have 2 new commissioners at Latah County starting this past Monday. They got sworn in. I was elected chair again by the 2 new commissioners, which I think will help a lot with consistency and fluidity of our business, and will continue to function well. We right away, one of the agenda items on that first day was to sign an agreement with one of the applicants that we protested for water right. And there was a lot of discussion about, 13,000 gallons per day as the state of Idaho's minimum amount of water for a water right, which again continues to feel ridiculous. But I hope that at some point Latah County will be able to work well with the state of Idaho Department of Water Resources to look at numbers that are more reasonable for people's consumption of water and the stated rights that they have. So anyway, we're doing well as a commission. There's a lot of training that's happening for the next few months. I was selected to continue being the liaison to PBAC, so I'm glad about that. And we'll continue moving into the future. Thank you. And I'm out of town the next 2 weeks, starting midweek next week, and then the week after that I'll be in Boise. So be back after that.
Tom, is there, with the 2 new commissioners, if there's a desire for us to come and give a briefing just on water and PBAC activities, we'd be happy to do that. If you want to just shoot me and or Mike an email and let me know when you might want to schedule that, we'd be happy to pop in and just provide an orientation.
I would love that. I think that would be great. I'll work with Jennifer to get that set up.
Perfect. Thanks, Tom.
Thanks.
Congratulations on both of those, Tom.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Great. Thanks, Tom. Anyone else have any other announcements? Okay. All right. With that, our next meeting is scheduled for Thursday, February. What's the date? So it's February at 2 p.m.
At 20 on, is that right? Is the 20th?
February 20th. February should be 20th.
20th. All right. Thursday, February 20th at 2 p.m. And we hope to see everybody there. And with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved. All right. We will see you all in February.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Tyler.
Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Keep all of them under half an hour. It's a great meeting, but
This might be the record.